And then next we have an A7 sharp 9. But let's not worry about that for a moment. Just go ahead and play an A7. And go ahead and do the full version where you have the fifth on top. Okay. Now, where does the sharp 9 come from? That's usually pretty clear. Not always, but usually. Yeah, but technically the chord can only have 1/3. So it's a dominant chord, so it has a major third, but it also has a sharp 9. As far as like enharmonically, the flat third and a sharp 9 are the same pitch. What that means is that this is coming from the altered scale, which is justified or sort of a theory that's validated if you look at the next chord, which is a D minor or D whatever, it doesn't matter, it's a D chord. And so you've got A7 to D, and A is the 5 of D. And so this A7 is functioning, and that sharp 9 is an alteration. Make sense? Yeah. The short story is, look at a dominant chord. If it's the 5 of the next chord, you can play altered. And that's what they've suggested here with the sharp 9. There are other alterations. All right. So now what is an alteration? Do you know what the altered scale is? It works for functioning dominant chords, right? So that must tell you some of the notes. If it's a scale you play over the dominant chord, it's got to have the chord tones of a dominant chord. Or at least it's likely that it does. And in this case, I mean, it's very likely. In this case, it does. So the only time it wouldn't is if you're superimposing something like sort of like if you superimposed melodic minor over a minor chord, you know, it's not that big of a stretch. They're both minor, you know. But anyway, the altered scale has a root, naturally, as all things must. It has a third, like the dominant chord. It's got a flat 7, the most important chord tones. As for the fifth, it doesn't have an ordinary fifth. So basically, then you just have to know what are the scale tones in between. They're all the wrong notes, you know, like your flat 9, your sharp 9, your flat 5, and your sharp 5. There's no sixth. A sharp 5 is the same sort of enharmonically as a flat 6, but it's not considered a flat 6. It's considered a sharp 5. So basically, let's walk through the scale and you'll see what I'm talking about. Go ahead and play the root, A, and then play a flat 9, so that's going to be 1 fret up. Then play a sharp 9, that'll be 2 frets up from where you are. Then play the major third, and we're going to do that on the 4th fret of the A string. All right? And yeah, and now we have the flat 5. Yep, and then we have the sharp 5. And then we have the flat 7 on the next string. And then we start all over with the root. Yeah, man. So, go ahead and take a second to tab that out, and then I'll tell you the next, the rest of it. All right, cool. So we've got this. All right, so that's your root right there. So now go ahead and play that root again, the one on the D string where we ended, and then play the flat 9. You'll do that with your pinky on the on the 8th fret of the D string, and then your index finger on the 5th fret of the G. All right, that's the sharp 9, right? Like in a minor chord, flat 3rd, but it's a sharp 9 in this case. And then you go up 1 fret to the major 3rd. Good. And then we gotta go from the major 3rd up to the flat 5, which is the same thing as a sharp 11. Cool. Yeah, you're right. Right, major 3rd to sharp 11 or flat 5. In the altered scale, people usually call it the flat 5, but it's the same thing as a sharp 11. And then the 6th fret and 8th fret on the B string. That's going to be your sharp 5 and your flat 7. Now we need the high E string. The high E string is the same as the low E string. 5, 6, 8. Yep, that's right. Good. All right. Anyway, now that scale would be one that's good to know, and it'd be good to know, I mean, it's melodic minor, so you know a little bit of it in another context, but when you get that fleshed out really well, then you know what notes are available to you when you play over a functioning dominant chord, at least when you're starting from the root being on the E string, right? So let's take a look at that again. So play your A7. Okay, and now we have our 5th on the B string, right? If we're going to do an altered chord, we can't have a 5th, right? Because there's no 5th in the altered chord. There's a sharp 5, so you can raise it 1 fret and add that. Cool? Yeah. Now, that's just one option. There's an argument why you would use a dominant diminished scale, but we won't bother with that yet. There's an argument as to why that would be preferable even, but like I say, we'll worry about that another time.